Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is August 14th, 2018, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the economic events of the day, just one event coming out of the United Kingdom, that's average earning index numbers coming out. And that's going to be at 10:30 South African time. But lots happening outside of the economic news. The demise of the Turkish Lira, we'll see how that's finally settling. And we'll look at gold. Gold finally breaking that 1200, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But let's see what's been happening in the markets.
This conference will now be recorded.
So we're starting here with the Turkish Lira. As you can see, we've been in a really choppy range yesterday between 666 and 698-ish level on this upper range. So as long as we're trading within this range, I think this is going to be where we're settling for now. Okay, unless we have some sort of correctional move either on the upside or the downside. That's something to look at as today further trades. So keep that in mind today. I mean, the dust is settling. Okay, the markets are really, digesting some of the news of, these tariff wars and how, and they're projecting, the banks are projecting exactly how it's going to affect each economy. But ultimately, you got to pay attention to the tape. You got to pay attention to the graph to see if it is breaking out in either direction for us to give us some indication of where it's going to go next. Now, if we look at the Euro USD also, just really digesting the information, the debacle actually happened. It's kind of funny that Turkey actually has that systemic strength, to cause panic and pandemonium in the general market. I mean, you would figure Euro USD is such a big currency, both politically, both demographically, but it did get affected. Okay, so with that in mind, we're trading at 114 right now. So, ultimately we have to see how this affects the euro. Okay, in the longer term, because between a trade war between the United States and Turkey not necessarily has anything to do with the euro. So keep that in mind, as today we may see a correctional move on the upside, okay, as the market digests itself. But across the board, we're looking at weakness, not just in the euro, the GBP, and the Aussie USD. So I would be more suffice to say that this was just a reason for us all to go down to these levels, to make this correctional move, and not something that's, being affected by the Turkish lira. Looking at the GBP USD, same story. We're flatlining here, not even showing any sort of strength on the upside. So this might finally look like it's taking, that beating that it took. We're looking at a 1-hour chart. If we look at a 4-hour chart, I mean, that's massive. So that's a massive decline since, the middle of July, from 133 down to 127. It's over a 600 pip retracement, just in the past month and a half. So with that in mind, just look for some sort of bounce, some sort of life here, because we may finally get that as this is consolidating on this level. Now, USDs we made a correctional move on the downside yesterday, 1431. Now, this is really, disconcerting, because this really had nothing to do, with, the trade war between Turkey and, the United States. But ultimately, you see that it does, okay, and it has been affected, so dramatically. 1431 is where we're trading right now. We may see a correctional move on the downside, so just be aware of that and look out for that as that actually unfolds. I'm jumping into gold. This was my call yesterday, that this was really weak, and I did project that it would continue trading on the downside, and sure enough, that's exactly what we got yesterday. On a 1-hour chart, we're looking, and we just nosedived from 1212 down to 1195-ish area, 1192. My target price of 1185 is only, about 10 points away. So, ultimately, looking at a daily chart, this is the lowest we've got for the year. So you got to jump on a weekly chart. You could see that we're just capitulating here at a previous support level, at 1195. So if we continue to break this, we could definitely see it go down to the low 1100s. Okay, might not happen today or tomorrow, but keep that in mind as this continues to sell off as the markets are solidifying. Now, yesterday, looking at oil, we had a correctional move on the downside back to our support level of 66.43, and then bounced right to 67.44. So keep that in mind later today, as this has been trading within this range. Let's see how that unfolds to the weekly oil inventories later this week. Looking at the Dow Jones yesterday, we had a nice sell-off, a continued sell-off, and we're closing in on a support level here at 25,259-ish level. So we may anticipate some sort of bounce later today, so keep that in mind as this continues to trade. Now, the stocks have been holding up and not selling off so sharply. If you look at the NASDAQ, we had a nice little bounce yesterday, but then, a subsequent sell-off. But if we look at Apple, still strong. 208.89, right off of its all-time highs yesterday. Actually made all-time highs yesterday again at 2,210, excuse me. So, the stocks are vibrant. The stocks are, showing us that there is some strength in the market. So that may carry us further up. And if you jump to Tesla, some of the buzz in the news is that Tesla is going to continue and go ahead with its privatization. Okay, and with that in mind, it's going to be at $420 stock. So with that, with that in mind, this thing is back to its all-time highs of 356. I'd like to see that continue. Yesterday we touched on 386. So this thing is really a very volatile stock the last couple of days, and just be aware of that with volatility comes tremendous amount of opportunities. Now lastly, Bitcoin has been just slowly irking lower. Okay, and we're just trading with this 597-ish. We're back to our support level right here. If we do continue to breach this, this nice rally that we had was just a fake out. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If that continues to sell off later today, we can see it go back down to the 4,600-ish level. So keep that in mind. Look at that later today. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.